This is a story of the great gold rush of 1883 in Prince Edward Island. I was looking to make a video of this because I hadn't found much information on it. The articles are old. This is one from a 2002 Island magazine, and it's the story behind the 1883 gold rush. So there was a man named James Hughes, and he found gold and silver, apparently, at Cape Wolfe, Prince Edward Island, around the year 1883. We were shown today by Mr. Hughes a button of gold weighing 1.5 pennyweights and a button of silver weighing 1/8 of an ounce. Both were actually extracted from 250 pounds of conglomerate taken from Mr. Hughes' property at Cape Wolfe. This test shows the value of the ore per ton to be $13.60 in 1883. The precious metal is remarkably rich in color, and from appearance will compare with the gold or silver of any country in the world. So this is a picture of Prince Edward Island. Of course, Prince Edward Island is a sandbar. Now, Nova Scotia has lots of gold mining, gold panning, all sorts of things, as does New Brunswick. Of course, they have bedrock, Canadian shield. I don't know if it's officially Canadian shield, but anyways, bedrock, and there's lots of it. And usually that's where you find the veins of gold. Now, Cape Wolfe is at the arrow there on the west point, near the west point of Prince Edward Island. And there was gold found in various other places as well, which we'll take a look at. One other image here. So this is, again, Cape Wolfe, a picture of the tall cliffs, the rock, if you want, not a bedrock, but it's really sandstone, and it erodes away very, very quickly. But there was apparently quartz veins found over here. So this particular article is from islandarchives.ca. You can go to it and search for Great Expectations of the Cape Wolfe Gold Rush of 1888, it says there. And so I want to bring this to your attention because, again, I could not find a lot of information on it. Let's go up to the top, and I'll just give you kind of the overview of what's happening. So Cape Wolfe, this is a picture of it, circa 1930. That image showing, again, the island sandstone. It's not granite or anything. It's just kind of sandstone, hard compressed sandstone. And so the tranquility of this coast was shattered in the early 1880s, it says in the highlighted middle section there, when a frenzy quite unlike any before or since swept not only Cape Wolfe, but the whole island. Nothing in the province history can quite compare with the great gold fever that hit Cape Wolfe in the spring of 1883. It was an event which obsessed the community and, to an extent, the whole province. For one brief golden moment, Cape Wolfe was the center of the island stage. Gold in Prince Edward Island. For some days, it has been rumored that a gold mine has been discovered at Cape Wolfe, Lot 7 in Prince County. On making inquiries, we learn that there is a good foundation for the rumor. Mr. James Hughes informs us that some time ago he discovered on his farm at the above named place traces of gold and silver. The services of first-class metallurgist has been engaged to examine the locality, test the minerals, and report whether or not it will pay to work the mine. The gentleman is on his way, it goes on. No one knows just how or when the gold mine was discovered in this particular location, but it was somewhat earlier than some days mentioned by the examiner. What we do know, the article says, is that months before the news was made public, there had been frenzied activity behind the scenes at Cape Wolfe, and by the time people found out, speculators had bought up hundreds of acres of land under the noses of the local population. So what happened was, as people, those in the know, heard that there was gold, people started buying land like crazy before even the locals really had an idea. This image here is an image of the land purchases, and you'll see the land there. I'll link this PDF in the description, at least the islandarchives.ca link there. But it shows James Hughes. He's kind of the main guy, and he was he bought up a couple pieces of land for, I assume, what was more than the going rate at that point in time. But of course, these landowners had no idea. And then quickly from 1882, 1883, people quickly bought a lot of slices of land up and mineral rights with the idea that they would find a whole bunch of gold and silver there. Well, it goes on. We were shown today by Mr. Hughes a button of gold weighing 1.5 pennyweights and a button of silver weighing 1/8 of an ounce. Both were actually extracted from 250 pounds of conglomerate. The test shows the value per ton to be $13.60. The precious metal is remarkably rich in color, and the appearance will compare to the appearance compare with gold and silver from any country. A well is being dug in Halliburton, so they started finding it in different places. People dug wells, they dug basements for their houses, and they were claiming that they were coming across seams of gold and gold-bearing rock. A well was being dug on the Halliburton Road. It says, and a bed of the conglomerate struck which was supposed to be continuation of the seam at the Cape Wolfe. The fragments were carried away piecemeal. Men loaded their pockets with them, and in the dusk of the evening, an individual was seen to approach with a bag, fill it with the treasure. So again, you can read this article, lots of detail, lots of background, but I just kind of want to pull out the main stuff. So there are lots of lawyers in Charlottetown, basically the big city of Prince Edward Island, and they were writing up deeds for this. It goes on here. Great expectations are indulged as to the excess of the gold mines in the locality. The sand or ore has been subject to a test by the pulverizer imported from New York, or as some reports said, Baltimore, under the direction of a practical inspector. The results of the last day's operations was 10 ounces of gold from 7.5 tons of sand worth $10 to $15. The inspector said that they did not get more than half the gold as the pulverizer did not work well. So they were finding this harder rock, this vein of quartz, whatever it was, and they were finding some amount of gold in this. And then it mysteriously came to an end. This is the interesting thing. A sudden halt. On the optimistic note, all reporting on the Cape Wolfe gold mine suddenly dropped. There are no other references to the mining operation after July 17, 1884. It's as if talk of the gold had become a taboo subject for island newspapers. Perhaps it had. All we have is the community tradition still strong that although there was gold there just wasn't enough. The mine was shut down that summer. So here we are with the kind of the sum of the article, and the island government was asked about, what the chances, possibility of gold in this area, and they said this. Reading at the bottom, the final blow to the hopes of the gold diggers came 2 years less, 2 days from the time that the news broke. In 1885, R.W. Ells, a geologist working for the island government, was asked about the possibility of a major gold field at Cape Wolfe. His assessment was blunt. It says, there was gold almost everywhere on the coast, he confirmed, but a ton of ore would produce only 40 to 60 cents worth of gold instead of $13.60, which Hughes had promised. The presence of gold in the red sands and calcareous conglomerates of the western end of the island is interesting, rather from the fact of its occurrence than from its economic value. So it's interesting that, in basically Prince Edward Island is effectively a sandbar. There's no kind of real bedrock on it. And so what he is saying, it's interesting that there's even gold here. It doesn't make a lot of sense since it is kind of just a big old sandbar. Although this rock is certainly apherious, gold-bearing, from 40 to 60 cents per ton, is so small that its profitable extraction is not possible. And there is apparently no good reason why similar rock of the entire coast may not equally contain it. So basically the idea is that all of the island has some amount of gold, some small amount per ton of sand. And basically what sand is ground up rock, right? Ground up quartz, ground up granite, ground up everything. That's what sand is. So you would expect basically a small amount to be there. Can you pan it out? I don't know. That's something that some people need to try. At this point in time in 2022, I'm in terms of finding information from the government of PEI as to whether it is actually legal to pan there. It is legal to pan in locations in Nova Scotia, for example, and you can get a prospector's license there. Is it legal to pan in Prince Edward Island? I haven't found that out yet, but interesting article, and I wanted to bring it to attention because, again, there's not a lot of information regarding this, and it's actually hard to find this article when you're Googling it, when you're trying to locate any information about this. So, Cape Wolfe. Is there any gold in the shores? Apparently, it's all over the place, and but just not very much of it. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. This was just an informational video to anybody who was looking for information on the Great Gold Rush of 1883 at Cape Wolfe, Prince Edward Island. An interesting history lesson and story about gold rush, and that was at a time when gold rushes were happening everywhere. If there was any talk of any gold anywhere, people were rushing for it because, like the article said, at some point back in that day, people aren't as interested these days about it, but back in that day, if you found gold, it could really there's a lot of poor people, so it could really make a difference in your living standards if you were able to find some gold. Now we have welfare and other things like that, and other opportunities. So finding gold is a lot of effort and not worth the pay back at this point in time. So anyways, thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there, and we'll see you in the next video.